Well, hey there, friends. Lindbergh of the Health and Fitness Motivation Podcast. And today I got something kind of fun for us. Alrighty. What I've got today is for the month of December, we're going to do a little bit of bringing up some old podcasts. We have over 430 episodes. And in the month of December, I'm going to bring up some that are either some of my favorites or some of the most relevant ones of the day, and oldies and goodies. It'll be kind of fun to hear how the branding and the theme and all that has changed, along with some of the content that's still relevant today, even though it was years ago. So this first one that I'm going to play for you today was first published in 2018. It was one of my very first episodes that came out, and it was about how to make the holidays work for you. Okay, technically it came out. When did it come out? Yeah, holidays 2018. So without any further ado, friends, we're going to just slide right in and go back in time to 2018 on how to make the holidays work for you. Here we go.
Finally, get back to a life with exercise. And this is your first step. We're going to start getting you moving. I'm Lynn Lindbergh, your bad couch guru. Hey there. Happy New Year. I am back from a month-long break from the podcast. Not a month-long break from Couch to Active, but a month-long break from the podcast. And I'm back and ready to hit it strong for 2019 and just really excited to be back in my sit-stand treadmill desk here doing a recording at 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to tell you, I might record this time more often. It is peaceful. I am looking out my window and all I see is blackness and a reflection of myself because the sun here in Seattle is nowhere near being up yet. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful holiday. I know some years are awesome and some years the holidays just suck. And I know most of you fall somewhere in there and all of you have all of your holiday decorations put away neat and tidy by now, right? Don't you? I don't. I have some boxes sitting right next to me. If you could see my office. I don't call it my messy office. I call it my busy office. So anyhow, I am back from a couple of trips for the holidays that we took, my husband and I took. They were amazing. This was a holiday that was amazing for me. The week before my Christmas, my family celebrates Christmas. The week before it, we actually went to Oslo, Norway, just my hubby and I, the two of us. And we had been so focused on everything we've been doing for our businesses, because we both own startups, that when we went on this trip, we decided we were going to make no plans beforehand and just spend the week enjoying the city. And I got to tell you, it was awesome. 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 Now, first of all, Norway in the winter is not peak tourist season, so it makes it easier to do that. You can't do this in every city. It's pretty high in latitude, and so the sun rises at 9:15 in the morning. The sun sets at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It is, freezing and below pretty much the entire time we're there. But they just deck out the city. There's lights everywhere and it's safe and it's clean and the people are friendly and the food was so good. I just loved it. And then we got home, had one day at home to pack and unpack, and we took our teenage boys off the grid, AKA parents with teenagers, you will understand this, right? Off the grid means no internet. And we took them for 3 days to a cabin in the Olympic mountain range. And when I say cabin, that's a really nice term because it was actually more of a shack we rented, and it is a really unique place on the north end of the Olympic Peninsula. And if you're listening to this from another country, it's the state of Washington in the very top left-hand corner. So in the United States, the very furthest most northwest corner of the United States in Washington is the Olympic Peninsula. And it is some of the most gorgeous, amazing mountain ranges on the planet, really, I believe. And there's tons of coastline around this peninsula, but most of it just because of the ocean and the way just how severe the storms can be. Most of it doesn't have any houses that are actually on the beach, but you can find little shacks on the beach because if a big storm comes and washes them away, no big deal. It's just a little cabin. So we took them for 3 days, no electricity, no internet. The only heat was a wood-fired stove, and the temperatures are around 45. So it's 45 and raining. And so wood stove heat, it was totally fine. But the best part of it is this shack sat literally 30 feet from the water, maybe 50 feet at most from the ocean, from the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which is technically an inlet from the Pacific Ocean. And we got there and it gets dark early, about 4 o'clock here. So we built a campfire outside, took the Christmas presents, put them on the picnic table next to the fire. And the 4 of us and our puppy, Nanu, little Spazzo puppy, we love him. He's so cute. We sat around the fire in the dark and opened our Christmas presents together. No Christmas decorations, no Christmas tree this year. And if you celebrate another holiday, you could just imagine your own holiday you celebrate and just not doing any of the traditional rituals around it. But instead, we just enjoyed this amazing time with the ocean waves crashing 30 feet from us and the campfire. And it was just awesome. So good for my heart. I loved it. That was my holiday. And with all that, I have another subtext, another subplot story going on with some health issues I'm working through. Don't worry, I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. But we just got some mysterious stuff I'm working on, and we'll tell you more about that on another podcast. But today, we're going to talk about post-holiday strategy. Now that we're through the holidays and we're right on the shirt tails of saying to ourselves, oh my gosh, I didn't exercise as much during the holidays as I wanted to. What do we do with that? Why is that important? And how can that help you be more successful for this entire year coming forward? So that's what we're going to talk about in just 1 second. Before we get to that, I want to give a shout out and a sincere thank you to a couple of comments that came in on the Amazon book reviews. So most of you who've been listening by now, you know I published a book this year called Couch to Active. And within 3 months, it won a Best Book Award. And we're so excited about that. It is such an honor to have that. And we've had some reviews come in that have been just amazing. So I want to read to you a couple of pieces of reviews that you can actually go to Amazon.com right now, look up the book, and those reviews will be there. This first one is a clip from Erin. And Erin says, an exercise book unlike any other. And trust me, I own them all. And Erin goes on to say, the world is filled with workouts and meal plans, most of them making promises that in X amount of time you can achieve Y result. And all you have to do is stop being so lazy and commit already. A quick walk through the exercise and fitness section of any bookstore demonstrates just how popular this formula is. And then she goes on to list a whole bunch of books that go by that formula. The last thing the world needs is another book laying out a rigid plan and making promises that all you have to do is follow the plan. So Lindbergh did not write that book. Thank you, Erin. And we'll read more of your stuff on another podcast, but that's exactly it. I did not write a book that said, here, follow this, step 1, step 2, step 3. And if you follow it, then you will succeed. Because I know that doesn't really work. I mean, technically it should work, but it doesn't really work. And so thank you, Erin, for noticing that in the book. All right, we have Wordy Girl who says, the hardest exercise is getting off the couch. With those words, Lynn captures the essence of the fitness struggle for so many of us. In reality, we're pretty good at getting off the couch for everyone and everything else, but our own fitness. We race through our days fueled by quick sugar and caffeine, taking care of everyone else's needs but our own. It's no wonder the couch is so appealing at the end of the day. With her velvet hammer approach, Lynn cuts through the excuses and uses wit, wisdom, and compassion to help us dig deep and overcome the obstacles that keep us anchored on the couch. Rather than give us yet another prescriptive exercise and diet plan, Lynn meets the reader wherever the reader is. Need to lose 100 pounds? Lynn can help. Frustrated by chronic illness or injury? Lynn's advice will help you figure out what you can realistically do and where you need to give yourself compassion. Already in pretty good shape, but having trouble getting in activity into your hectic life? Lynn's practical tips and tricks go beyond the basic take the stairs advice and make sustainable fitness achievable. Couch to Active is a terrific program for anyone who wants to ditch the sedentary life for good. This book is a must read. Thank you, Wordy Girl, for that on Amazon. If you have read the Couch to Active book already, go to Amazon, please. Do give it a great review. It doesn't need to be a wordy review, but do go in and give it a review. It really helps, especially right now. We've got the book in for some more award submissions, and the reviews of the books are happening right now. Okay, let's get to the meat of all this. Today, I'm going to teach you a very concrete strategy that you can apply to your life throughout this entire year that's going to set you up for success for when holidays come up. And here's why it's important. Take a minute right now and think about all the holidays and events that happen in a year that we tend to dismiss and excuse and say, oh, that's a special day. So I won't exercise today because it's my birthday. I won't exercise today because it's my kid's birthday or my boyfriend's birthday, or it's the 4th of July. Now it's the company party. Now it's another friend's party. Now it's Memorial Day weekend. Now it's Labor Day weekend. Add all those up together. Tell me, about how many holidays in a year do we have that we use as excuses to not exercise? Think about it. About how many are there? Ready for the answer? 30. When you take all the holidays in a year and birthdays and corporate parties and other things that come up where we dismiss it and say that's a special day, in the course of a year, that's about 30 days. That translates into about 10% of your exercise in a year that you need to be doing right there, gone. Yes. Now, am I saying that every single holiday, no matter what, even your birthday, you have to get in a great big workout? No, not saying that. But if we have a strategy for how to make those days actually include exercise in a way that makes us smile, then we're not facing each and every one of those holidays thinking, oh, I need to excuse it, or oh, I feel like a failure, or oh. No, all of a sudden now, those days become part of our active lifestyle, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. This is a 3-step process that takes a little bit to understand. It takes a little bit to comprehend. So you're going to have to actually really listen to this. But once you get it, a light bulb turns on and your brain says, oh, this is easy. I get it. I understand it. I can totally do this. So stick with me here. If you get to the end of this podcast and you say, oh, what were those 3 steps? Go back, listen again, and we'll go through 1, 2, 3 and what they are. Before we dive into this, we're going to use one holiday as an example. And because we have Valentine's Day coming up, I'm just going to use Valentine's Day as the example holiday. You pick whatever holiday is coming up for you next, depending on when you're listening to this podcast, what holiday is coming up for you, what birthday is coming up for you. Use that one and work through it with me as I work through my example of the Valentine's Day. Okay, step number 1 is titled Year one, think of your holiday, mine is Valentine's Day, and ask yourself, what non-negotiable exercise can I do on this day that I will enjoy or will make me smile? And so for me, for this Valentine's Day, I am going to choose to get up in the morning and take my dog for an extra long walk. And if my body will let me, if my health is good enough that day, I'm also going to do a little bit of jogging that morning before anything else. Now, my brain, the second I say that, my brain floods with a million other things like, what about people who have to, get to a job at 7 a.m.? And what about people who have little kids and can't leave the house and, yada, yada, yada. I know. I've been there. I've had the job where I have to be there at 8 a.m. in a suit and I have kids and I can't. So if that's you, if your brain is saying that, I'm with you. I hear you. You don't do what I'm doing. You pick what exercise works for you in the current situation you have. That could be playing with your kids. That could be going for your own walk somewhere. That could be running an errand and then pulling your car over somewhere and doing a few laps around the high school football field. It could be anything. Get creative. It could be you're going to watch some Netflix, and while you watch the Netflix, you'll do some yoga. Whatever works for you. Come up with that exercise that you're going to do. Then, step 2, year number 2. So in year number 2, you're going to do the very same thing. You're going to look ahead and say, okay, this Valentine's Day, year number 2, what did I do last year? Did I like it? Did it work? And am I going to do the same thing or am I going to do something different? In my example of the Valentine's Day walk, if that didn't work for me, if I didn't like it, I'm going to pick something else. But if it did work for me, then I'll do that again. And my family will just know, oh, there's Mom. It's Valentine's Day. She's going for a walk again. Step 3, year number 3 of Valentine's Day coming up again. By that 3rd year, I do the very same thing again. I look ahead. I say, what am I going to do that's non-negotiable exercise for me this year that would make me smile? And if it's the same thing again, then great, because then I know that on Valentine's Day, I go for my own Valentine's Day walk. And if I have somebody come with me, great. But remember, it's non-negotiable exercise, so that means it can't be really dependent on others. It can to some degree, but not entirely. And once I have 3 years behind me of doing the same exercise on a particular holiday, now all of a sudden there's no more grit. There's no more self-discipline. There's no more forcing me to do it. This ship has sailed and I'm just doing it. So let me give you another example of how this can play out. Thanksgiving a couple years ago, I was hosting Thanksgiving one year and I was so thrilled to be hosting it. And I knew that in order to exercise, I needed to really wrap myself into something that I couldn't flake out on. And so I signed up for a turkey trot. And I thought, oh, great, turkey trot, I'll go do it. And on the morning of the turkey trot, I got on my mountain bike. I biked 5 miles to the turkey trot. I jogged the 5K, which is 3 miles, for the turkey trot. It was dark. It was cold. It was raining sideways. I was miserable. I did it by myself. I was in a new city. I didn't know anybody there. I was soaking wet, freezing cold, got back on my bike, biked home the 5 miles in the rain, and then hosted Thanksgiving. Now, I don't recommend that unless it sounds like fun for you, because I was miserable. That was my year 1 and it was a total fail. Well, it wasn't a total fail, right? I was proud of myself. I did the exercise. It felt good. It was good for me. It was a badge of honor, but I was miserable. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't loving my life. So on year number 2 for Thanksgiving, had decided that was a fail and decided I wanted to do something that would be more likely to make me smile. So I decided to do year number 1 over again, because we get a redo, right? It's our life. It's not everybody else's life. It's our life. So I redid year number 1 and I said, okay, this Thanksgiving, what one non-negotiable exercise am I going to do? And I chose to go for a walk at some point in the day. And that was great, but Thanksgiving gets crazy and all the guests came and we ate and we drank wine and we had a wonderful time. And by the end of the day, it got later than I thought it would. It was 9 o'clock at night, and I knew I was still going to go for that walk because I'd made that non-negotiable. And as the guests were leaving, I realized I was going to go for this walk alone. But as some of the final guests were leaving the house, one of them said to me, "Hey, Lynn, are you still going to go for that walk?" And I lit up and thought, oh my gosh, she remembered. Woohoo! I said, "Well, yeah, I am." And she said, "Well, I'll go with you." And then 2 other people joined, and we ended up having 4 of us go for a walk, and it was magical. It was beautiful outside, and it was freezing cold, but the stars were out, and it was so peaceful, and we loved it. And so the next year, my year 2, I went for a walk again on Thanksgiving, and that was wonderful. And I guarantee you, by year 3, so that's step number 3. If you're taking notes here, step 3, year 3. Again, I finally got myself to the point of that ship has sailed and there's no more grit. There's no more self-discipline. All I have to do is show up and know that folks there at that Thanksgiving are probably going to want to go for a walk with me. They won't guess. They won't wonder. They'll expect it to happen. And that is the magic of the 3-year step for what to do with your holidays. And you can do this with any holiday. You can do it with your birthday. You can make a birthday exercise tradition, a 4th of July exercise tradition, anything you want. A couple of pitfalls to avoid so you don't get too rigid into this. One of them is you want to give yourself a lot of flexibility in this and know that if you do these 3 steps, year 1, year 2, year 3, not all of them are going to stick. This is a practice. This isn't a hard and fast rule. So you're going to do this for all your holidays. Some of them are going to stick. Some of them aren't. But don't let the success or failure of how you perceive this hinge on 100% success 100% of the time, because that's not life, is it, ladies and gentlemen? And we know it. We know it. So in your pursuit of doing this, year 1, what exercise is not negotiable that will make me smile? Year 2, what exercise is not negotiable that will help me smile? Year 3, what exercise is not negotiable for me that will make me smile? Do that 3 years in a row for all 30 holidays. And I guarantee you, by the end, you will have rewired your brain to habitually think about exercise in unique days that normally you won't. And if you're thinking 3 years feels like a ridiculously long amount of time to get this in and get this done, pause and ask yourself, where were you 3 years ago? How old were your kids 3 years ago? And how long ago does that feel? Not long at all, I bet. Okay, here's another pitfall to avoid. Some of you are going to encounter naysayers that come your way, because if you start behaving differently, especially during a holiday or a family tradition, where before it was always sit down on the couch with Uncle Joe and drink those 4 beers and watch the game all day, and now all of a sudden you're going out and getting a little bit of exercise that day before you show up, or you're not staying as late because you're going to get some exercise, that might freak out the people around you, because we don't like change. And if the people you love start seeing you do this healthy exercise thing that you've never done before, it usually doesn't bring up a lot of encouragement. Even though subconsciously they know exercise is good for you, what happens a lot of times is your loved ones will be either intimidated by it because they feel like you maybe think you're better than them, and maybe you do a little bit because you're proud of what you're doing. But we want to help them with that. Or they may think, what's also really common is people in your life may think that you're trying to avoid them or escape from them. And those things bring up insecurities for people that you love in your life. And so a real quick, easy way to deal with that is to do your best to make it no big deal so it is no big deal, right? Make it no big deal so it is no big deal. And one of the ways you can do that is look at them in the eyes, smile, and with love say, I want to make exercise more of a tradition for me. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it in a way that helps me smile. And I'm experimenting here. So don't worry. I still love you. I still love you very much. And I'm not trying to get away from you. I'm not trying to escape. I'm just trying to figure out how to balance all of this so that I can be healthier and more present for you in my life and for everything that I love. And then leave it at that. Again, I found that a lot of times if you don't make it a big deal, it's not a big deal. All right, so let's review. Step number 1, year 1. Step number 2, year 2. Step number 3, year 3. Ignore the naysayers in your life. Reassure them you love them. Reassure them you're not going anywhere. You're still there. And it'll all work out. Now, here's what I want you to do. Find the next few holidays or events you've got coming up that normally get in the way of exercise and make that year 1, year 2, year 3 plan. Do that right now. And then as you start it, write into me at beawesome@couchtoactive.com, BEAWESOME, beawesome@couchtoactive.com. Tell me your stories. I would love to hear how this is going for you. Part of the reason I love to hear is because the reason this works is because you make it work for your own unique life. I don't prescribe to you what your exercise is, how you do it, when you do it. You've got to figure that out for your life. That's what makes it work. And that's why I love hearing the stories of everyone's unique situations, because truly everyone is unique. And remind yourself, you really can't rely on outside factors to make your life better. You've got to be your own hero. You've got to make your own life better. It's no longer the time to sit around and wait for somebody to come to you and give you permission to do this. You've got to take it for yourself. You've got to sit up tall, take a deep breath, and really own making this happen for you. You've got it. Good luck. Alrighty, as always, friends, it is my honor to be here serving you. Reach out, let me know if you have special podcast topics you'd like me to cover. The next few topics we have is next week, I'm going to read the first chapter of the book. And then we've got some great guests coming up. We've got somebody who's done a lot of work with grief and loss, and we're going to talk to her about how do you get exercise in when you're in the middle of grief and loss, and how does that work? And we're going to go way beyond that platitude of you should just exercise, it will make you feel better, because I feel like that's just BS. It's technically correct, but it doesn't help anybody who's in the middle of grief and loss. So we're going to talk about that, and I'll share some of my own experiences with the 7 people I had that died in my family in a 3-year period, and some of my experiences of working through that grief and loss there. And then we've got another guest interview. The host of the 40 Plus Fitness podcast is coming on board with us, and he'll be here in a couple weeks, and super, super excited. He's got, I believe, over 400 podcasts out already, and truly a fitness expert for those of us who are middle-aged. Yes, 40 plus, you are middle-aged. That's me. So some great stuff coming up, and between now and then, have yourself a wonderful, active week. Bye-bye now.